All right. Hello, everybody. This is Jacob Sapochnick, um, immigration attorney here in San Diego with fellow attorney Marie Portolano. And we are doing our weekly live on our page to give you updates about what's happening in immigration and to answer your questions. We've been away for a few weeks, but we're back, and we still answer all your questions on our page. So today we have a few updates to go through. We're going to cover the caravan, what's the updates there, why it's happening, some updates with some new changes that are happening, and of course we'll leave some time to answer your questions. How are you doing today, Marie?
Good.
The weather is not so good, but we are here with you. And hello, Mila. And those that are joining right now, just let us know where you're from and post a comment in the live stream. So let's start with the caravan. So this is the gathering of people that are trying to get in the United States and claim asylum. Most of them are from Latin American countries, and there's been a lot of controversy as to why the government is not letting them in. Many people are being denied applying right now, and there's a lot of changes. Every day there's a change. So, Marie, why don't you tell us a little bit, what is the caravan, why they call it the caravan, the whole story of, yes.
Gonna say the whole story, but
heroes, and then again, we'll you can post your name and where you're from, and we will answer your questions. Hey Nancy, how are you? And we'll answer your questions when we get there. But there's tons of things that are happening, and people are asking us, so it's time for us to address those issues. Right.
So the caravan. The only thing we would advise, and we talked about it on radio and television, is if you're part of the caravan, just apply for asylum in Mexico. So don't try to cross the border illegally and then apply for asylum, because it can bring two problems. Just wait. Unfortunately, right now, there's probably around 9,000 people who arrive in Tijuana with the three caravans. So if you apply for asylum, you can expect up to maybe 1 year to wait to be interviewed for asylum. So it's going to be a long time waiting in Tijuana. So we've seen, because we live in San Diego next to Tijuana, we've seen already people going back to their home country because they don't want to wait 1 year to be interviewed to see if they have a claim for asylum.
But what is really happening on the side of the government? Are they allowing some people to apply, or are they rejecting everybody across the board? Some of the questions people are asking us is, if they're going to start accepting some people, is it going to open a floodgate of everybody coming in? So what is actually happening right now?
Well, you take basically a number, and then you are interviewed individually by a CBP officer, and they're going to see if you have a credible fear of asylum, and if you do, they let you enter America, and if you don't, well, you're not entering anywhere, and you go while you're staying in Tijuana. So if you have a claim, which means asylum, you need to show persecution based on race, religion, political membership. So if you have a claim, then you're not entering. If you do have a claim, then you enter and you will fight your asylum case in court.
And typically, and once again, those that are joining us right now live, please state your name, let us know where you're from, and we will answer your questions at the end of our live stream. We'll allow enough time for questions. So typically the way it happens is that, especially because we are so close to the border, people will, we had a lot of cases from African asylum seekers where they will show up at the border. They would be they'll get interviewed, and they'll state that they're asking for asylum, and then they'll be paroled in the U.S. and go through the whole process. But right now, because there's so many people, thousands of them, it seems that, first of all, it takes longer, and second of all, it feels like they are not actually allowing everybody to go through that process. Is that correct?
I don't know. I've not been aware of that. If you get a number and you wait for your turn, but again, your turn might come in tomorrow, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months.
In the meantime, some of these people are looking for jobs in Mexico. They actually start working there while they live there, waiting for their turn to be able. So it's really a really tough situation, because most of them are actually running away from real problems, but there's no guarantee that actually can or will get asylum. But we'll continue updating about the caravan. And if you have any questions, just post them in the comments below, and we'll get there. And again, hello, Crystal. Thank you so much for the nice comments. And again, we will get to your questions at the end. So let's go and talk about some of the proposed rules. One of those is the public charge, and this is an issue that we're getting a lot of questions from people. So what do we talk about that? The public charge, and again, when you apply for government benefits, green card or adjustment of status, there are some things that you may not be eligible for that if you took funds from the government that you're not supposed to, like Medicare or Medicaid or things like that. So let's talk about the proposed rule, what it means, and how it's going to impact people that are trying to immigrate and get visas here.
So, if you apply for a green card right now and you're likely to receive public benefit or are receiving public benefits such as food stamps is the most common, you will not get a green card right now. Now the proposal plan to expand that to people who change their status or extend their status to visas such as B1, H1B, E2. So this is very, in my opinion, a little bit unexpected because all these people do have a job. It's like most of them are work visas, but they ask them anyway to show they are not likely to receive public benefits. So they are expanding basically the public charge rule to B1, E1, E2, E3, F1 students, H1B, L1, O1, and TN.
So essentially, it's kind of we're looking at the broader application of the rules. So it's not just for people who are applying for green cards, but now they're going after visas, which typically wasn't the issue. So give an example, like say an E2, somebody applies for an investor visa. What will they have to, while they're here under this benefit, they're not going to be allowed to take certain benefits that could impact them later on if they're going to become green card holders. And this is pretty harsh because if you do something without knowing it, like if you have a baby here, or there's going to be certain rules. Again, it hasn't passed yet, but there are going to be certain rules. Now we're in the comments period. There's 60 days, but once they release that, we will be able to update our viewers as to what will be allowed, or what will not be allowed to as part of something that can jeopardize your future residency. But it's definitely something that we're concerned of. And people are constantly asking questions. And once again, my name is Jacob Sapochnick, and this is Attorney Marie Partanano. We are doing our weekly live show here, answering questions about immigration, updating you about what we know, what we think is going to happen. And those that we see a lot of people that are joining us now. Hello, Rachel. Hello. Well, we will address those questions at the end of our live stream. Typically, it's 30 minutes or maybe about 10 minutes before. We will, in about 10 minutes, we're going to start answering your questions once we go through our agenda. But keep posting your questions. Let us know where you're from, and keep giving us likes and hearts. We'd love to see that as we go through our agenda. Next, we have an update about the I-751. The removal of conditions application has been really dragging for months. And so, Marie, what is the update that we have about timeframes for this?
751 is when you have a green card for 2 years. You can remove the condition 90 days before expiration. Once you apply for the 751, you get an extension of your green card for 1 year. So it used to be 12 months. Now they're going to give it to 18 months because they are so backlogged. It's ridiculous. Right now, their current processing time is between 23 to 41 months. So we get a lot of phone calls of people who are worried their 751 has been pending. But be aware, it's around 2-year processing time right now for 751.
Right, so those cases that used to take about a year before, now are taking much longer, almost 2 years. So remember, while you are in this process of renewing your temporary green card, you're going to have a document that states that you're allowed to be here, to work and travel, but you're not going to get your actual green card for almost 2 years. So it's important to know that and have realistic expectations. Our next topic that we want to cover are the notice to appear memos. So if you remember that they said that people that are going to be, the government at the end of the summer issued notifications that if you're here in the United States and your visa expires and you are going to be out of status, they're going to be sending notices to appear to court which means more and more people are going to be sent to court and facing deportation. And so we have an update on this. What is the update on the NTA memo?
Well, they're expanding the visas they're gonna issue deportation order against. So if you're a U visa, which means a victim of a crime, if you're a VAWA, which means you're an abused spouse, and your petition is denied, they will issue NTA. So it's basically the beginning of the removal procedure, which I think is very unfair because battered woman, victim of crime, I think they should be low on the list of being removed. That's just my opinion.
Right. So again, this notice up here we thought is going to be reserved mostly for maybe like criminals or people who committed certain offenses and they overstay, but they are really expanding that scope. So more and more people are worried that if they're going to be here without status or the visa expired, they're going to be subject to removal using this new NTA policy. So we'll see. And final update is about H-1B season is coming up, and we are starting to accept applications for H-1B visas. So if you have an employer or a job offer in the U.S., you're going to be eligible to file for this H-1B visa next year in April. But now we are accepting applications already. There's going to be some interesting changes to the way H-1B visas are being filed. They're going to set up a special online registration system to allow people to register before they file, so they will know if they're selected for the lottery in advance. This has never been done before. This is a brand new change for the H-1B program in the past 30 years. So Marie, why don't you tell us a little bit what it means, that electronic registration system for H-1B visas?
So for this season, they want to get more people who have a master degree. So they're going to do, you basically register, you put basic information, so the employer name, the EIN number of the employer, the name of the beneficiary, country of birth, date of birth. So very limited information. You enter that in the system doesn't exist yet, but so it's going to be some kind of electronic system. And then they're going to do a lottery based on this very limited information you provide. And if you win the lottery, then you submit your full application. So it's gonna, because USS doesn't want to have to receive 200,000 applications, look if everything is complete, the fees is correct. It's an enormous amount of work. Right now, I still have cases who are not decided from April 2018. And they're also saying it's going to be less money for the employer because the attorney's fee obviously is going to be lower because it's going to be a very basic filing. So it's good for the employer and for negotiation. We'll see if it actually works because anything electronic with immigration sometimes
doesn't have really process. But again, the point is that it's a major change for this program, and we'll see how it's going to affect applications. I mean, I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing. We don't know how it's going to work, but it is something to be prepared for. And again, all you can do right now, if you do have a job offer, you need to start getting those paperwork in line. So now we will go through some of the questions. I'm going to try to get to all the. See if I can do it from here or from the screen. But now is the time to post your questions, and I want to address many of you. So hello, Rosianne. Hello, Boyo, Kali. And Umut and Rich, and okay, so let's go to the questions. So Buyu is, let me see here. I want to see the order of the questions. Okay, so let's go. Okay, so Francesco is asking, I'm a sole trader in Italy. Is there any kind of visa I can apply for? Thanks for a lot in advance. So if you're doing trade, the best visa for you to apply is called an E1 visa. So that allows you to get a visa based on your trade, whatever business that you're in. So yeah, there is a visa called E1, and you can definitely apply for it. We have a question from Rosianne Delisoi. I finished my process for VAWA. How long does it take? I got a letter from friends and family saying about my abuse. So typically, about a year to process those, assuming you don't have an hour fee and your case is good. So yeah, it's about a year. Bishan Sharma is saying, can we travel on withhold if your withhold is granted, I assume withhold removal. He's asking if you can travel in the U.S. I don't think
no travel.
No international travel in the U.S. I believe they can with particular travel, so there's no problem with travel international. Mickey Manick, I am in New Zealand with 3-month visitor visa now. Can get U.S. visitor visa.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you have a term, if you have a right to stay in New Zealand, you can apply for a U.S. visa. Absolutely. We have Nadia Toma. I did 2 interviews. My asylum application is for me and my 2 young daughters, and I didn't hear back from them. In January, I applied 2004, almost 5 years ago. Why is it taking so long? So right now, there's a major backlog in asylum cases, so it's not unusual for people to wait that long. Most important thing is for you to follow up with them constantly, Nadia. So make sure you have an attorney or somebody who's going to follow up for you.
I don't know where you're from, but you might be under a heavy background check.
Yeah.
And they're going to check maybe if you resettle in another country. Or...
Yeah, it depends on the country you're from, but yeah. So here we go. So we have all this. We have, let's see here. We have Lindsay Nicole, and she says I-6112 and I-61 probability of being approved. So yeah, I mean, if you have a good case, I mean, there's a good chance it will approve. It really depends on who did the case and how it was done. But make sure the question is more specific.
And how soon you're applying.
Rachel Longwood, we're still waiting for my husband interview at Ciudad Juarez. They told us 4.5 months, but we're still waiting. Once again, it is taking longer to get interviews right now in Ciudad Juarez. The most important thing, both with USCIS and the embassy, is to follow up carefully. I would do a follow-up every maybe 30, 60 days. So that's pretty much what you can do. We have a question about publishing visa bulletin. When does the embassy send invoice letters? So once your priority date is current, it will take about 30 to 60 days to send the next step. So make sure you follow that. We have Sawa. She says, I have B1, B2 visa. I'm out of the U.S. last month. How many months I can come back? So typically, if you come on a tourist visa, we recommend about 4 to 6 months to stay away before you can come back again, just to avoid any further questioning, and make sure you have a return flight. Aryan is asking, he's saying, nice to meet you. Well, nice to meet you too. Blossom Chinello, did my biometrics August 13 this year. How long do I have to wait to get a work permit? So
4 months.
It's about 4 months after biometrics. So it's taking definitely longer. It used to be 90 days, now it's about 4 months. Jose is saying, I submitted a case in July. It's already been 148 days, and I didn't get any response. Jose, what kind of case? It's important for me to know what it is. Jonathan Pardes, can I bring my boyfriend from Dominican Republic without marriage? Well, if you're a U.S. citizen, you want to bring a boyfriend without marriage, I would do a fiance visa. So you don't have to marry for a fiance visa. That's the best way. It's not possible to get a tourist visa for them because it's very difficult and there's high denial rate. Hello, Letty. How are you? Letty is one of our longest fans, and I want to see more hearts and more likes here. Ariana is saying, I'm from Afghanistan. My husband is from Pakistan. I need to fly from my mother-in-law. Can I do it? Yeah, you can invite him via letter of invitation if that's what you're asking.
And with a visa.
And with a visa, of course. Handarak Lozano is saying, how long will it take for someone who marries a permanent resident to get a work permit? So if you marry a permanent resident, unlike a citizen, they go into a wait period, and sometimes, depends on where you're from, it may be more than 2 years. So if you marry a U.S. citizen, it's an immediate. You can get a work permit and stuff like that. If you marry a permanent resident, there is no work permit. You just have to wait. If you're here, you have to be legal in a different status. If you're out of the country, you have to be obviously out of the country. So Bisham is saying, can I travel to India without withholding? No, you cannot travel to India. If you have a withholding of removal, you have to stay in the U.S. You cannot travel in the U.S. Harold is asking, how long does it take for an F2A visa to be approved by USCIS? So I-130 is filed for an F2A. It depends on what country you're from. You have to look at the visa bulletin and look at your country, and based on that, you will determine the processing of that. Nadia Toma is saying, I'm from Iraq, and my attorney said that she asked, and they told her it will take from months to years. So yeah, Nadia, unfortunately, countries like Iraq and other countries in the region, they may be subject to security clearance, so it definitely can take longer, right? So for her, family petition. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jose, I'm 30 for alien relative. So yeah, so I mean, you have to look at the visa bulletin to determine the processing. Everybody has Nadia from Iraq has different processing than somebody from India or from China. That's why the visa bulletin has different priority dates, and different countries are listed on those priority dates. Jonathan says, I'm a citizen. How long does it take to bring my boyfriend? If you're a citizen, I would just have you do a fiance visa, and then he can be here within, I would say, 6 months to 8 months. Depends on where you're from. But yeah, definitely do the fiance visa. And like I said, if you need specific information about your particular case, just send us a private message, and we can set up a consultation with you. Handrak says thank you, and so I'm thinking that I go to most of your questions right now, but let's see here. Here we go. Humble is saying, I'm in New York and a U.S. citizen and applied for my mom in July 2017. She received her citizen and work permit. But let's see, I can't see the comment.
I haven't heard anything else.
Okay, so basically we're talking about
New York is very slow right now to schedule interview.
Thank you
or
guys
you
for
might
the
not
hearts.
even have an interview, by the way.
Yeah, keep sending those hearts. So yeah, so it's essentially it's an issue of waiting. We have T. He's from New Zealand. If I'll be coming to the US on an E2 visa, how about my kids, 3 years old, and how about my kids, and can they go to school? So T, first of all, New Zealand is a new country for E2s, and we did a bunch of videos on that as well. So you should definitely apply for the E2, and your kids are going to be able to go to school. Any family member under 21, children, are going to be able to go to school, and your wife will also going to be eligible for a work permit. So if you're serious about this, T, I would definitely encourage you to apply for the E2 because like I said, it's a new program, and we think it's a good idea to do that. We have Arya. Arya is applied for his mother-in-law, but they rejected her. Unfortunately, certain tourist visas can be rejected because certain countries have higher rates of denial, unfortunately. So there's not much you can do about it except for reapplying. Any tips for somebody who's been rejected on a tourist visa?
Well, usually it's lack of ties. It's usually denied because maybe your mother-in-law doesn't have a job in her home country, so they don't believe she's gonna come back. She might believe that she's gonna stay when she's here. So usually it's based on lack of ties. So you wanna make sure she has a job, loans, property she owns.
Right. Exactly. We have a question from Arya. He applied we answered that question. Rita Haddad Hadelim. If someone outside of US, he has a green card but it's expired, but he got a B1,
B2.
but he got B1, B2.
Is the immigration.
So here. If someone is outside the United States and has a green card but it's expired, he got a B1, his immigration will allow him to enter the United States.
Yeah.
So yeah, so as long as if you had a green card and it expired, it doesn't matter. As long as you have a valid tourist visa, you can still come into the United States. Mm-hmm. We have a question. Hey Anna, how are you? Anna is used to live in San Diego. I am from Ottawa. Yeah. What'd you say? Yeah.
Interested to know the news.
News about what? You want to? There are a lot of news, Anna, since you left. So they're all not good news for immigration. But, all right, let's see. Leon is watching, and Jessica is watching, and Cedric is asking. He sent an application, an adjustment since July, but he didn't receive an. Cedric, let's see a question from Cedric. He didn't receive anything. So, Cedric, if you filed a full adjustment and you haven't received anything, you should have at least received receipts. And what I would do is I would check on your check, what you paid. If your check was cashed, then you should be okay. Sometimes it takes them longer to send you receipts. If your check wasn't cashed and you've been waiting, then that's not a good sign, and you need to check on what's happening.
And as we said before, work permit right now is 5 months. You submitted in July, so you should have your EAD combo card this month. So nothing to worry about right now. It's within processing time.
Right. Let's see here. Pradeep is from New Zealand. I'm New Zealand if I can apply for a work visa, but I'm not New Zealand resident. So that's a good question, Pradeep. So for you to apply for the E2 from New Zealand, you have to be a resident. You have to be a citizen of New Zealand. You cannot just live there. So even if you're legal there currently, you must have an actual passport to apply for the E2. And again, any specific questions that are not general, just send us a private message and we'll respond. We have Manal from Tunisia, and you're welcome, Cedric. Maria Morales, I'm in Tijuana, but I would like to have a consultation about my case. Would you be willing to come here? Maria, my suggestion is the first consultation we can do on Skype, just to determine exactly what's going on, and if we need to go see you, we have people that can go to Tijuana and meet with you there. But I would initiate the first consultation on Skype. We can understand what's going on, and we can see if we can help you further. Okay, but we have people who can go there. All right. So, what is withholding granted? Can we get advance parole to go to India? I would say in most cases you can't. You can't do that, but there may be some exceptions. Like I said, if you have a specific question about your case, just send us a private message, and we will be happy to respond. We had a question about another one from New Zealand about can the E2 lead to a green card? So I think it's a question from T. So the E2 per se is not cannot lead to a green card, but you can stay here indefinitely, working as long as your business operates. And again, it's a good opportunity for people from New Zealand to apply because it's really cool, and it allows you pretty much to move to the U.S. whenever you want, as long as you can invest. Let me see here. We have a from whom? We have a question from Dana. I feel for my spouse and they called him for fingerprints, but we've not heard anything. Again, we have a lot of questions about delays. I would say the best thing to do is to follow up with the service center or the embassy just to figure out why you haven't heard from them, because normally if everything goes well with the case, they should be able to respond to you and move further in the case. But just a general thing that I have to say that there have been a lot of delays right now on many of these applications, both family and business. And so people should be expecting more and more delays next year as well, because we don't see any improvement in any of the way the government is processing those applications. Thank you, Maria. We appreciate you as well. So we are literally, Shabir is saying if someone got married outside the U.S. without terminating his or her prior marriage in the U.S., she will file for divorce after. Would the second marriage be valid? Well, normally if you marry somebody while you're being still married, the second marriage may not be valid, especially for immigration purposes. It may be valid in other countries, but for immigration purposes, it won't be valid. So it's important to talk to a family lawyer to discuss the implications of, and it's a specific question, so I think you may want to set up a consultation so we can address the issue, because there could be some devastating consequences for doing that. And it's actually a federal offense, right?
Bigamy, yes.
Bigamy.
It is.
Anyway, we are 30 seconds from reaching our 30-minute show. We try to be respectful for your time and for our time. So if you have any more questions, you can continue posting them in the thread. We'll try to answer them today. And I would really love for you guys to share this stream. If you're live right now with us, we have at least 30 people with us right now, please share it on your pages so other people will know about this. We do it for free as a service to our followers to answer your questions and keep you updated. So do us a big favor if you can share it right now. And if you do that, put a heart, keep putting those hearts, but share it right now with your pages and tell everybody about our show, Ask an Immigration Lawyer. And we'll be back here next Wednesday, hopefully. And, again, post your questions and we'll see you next week. And this video, this video is going to stay on the page forever. So you can go back and see the live replay, the replay. So even if you missed it, you can see the replay. Thanks, Leah, for everybody. And we'll see you guys next week. And as I said, do us a favor, share this page. I would greatly appreciate if you do that. It will help others that missed it right now. And have a beautiful Wednesday. Enjoy the rain. It's raining here in San Diego. And we'll see you next week. Thanks, Marie, for always being here.
Bye.